FromSoftware took a pretty risky gamble with Elden Ring. Even with the immense success of the Dark Souls series, many question if the developers could replicate it in an open-world setting. Fortunately, Elden Ring stomped on that skepticism with a fantastic release. But with the title being out for over 2 years, we're sure there are those tarnished who have finished their quest and are looking for something similar to get into. Well, don't worry, your friends at Game Rant's got you. Here are the best games to play if you like Elden Ring. First, we have The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Nintendo truly did something special with this new take on their iconic series. Unlike previous titles, this one puts the hero, Link, in a completely open world. As Link, you must travel around the vast landscape of Hyrule in order to defeat Calamity Ganon. The environment is littered with hidden mysteries, dangers, and so much more. The folks who love traversing through the lands between will feel right at home here. The combat is not as punishing as Elden Ring, but it still offers a challenge and gives you many ways to go about fighting. The sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, offers a similar experience. It takes place a few years after Breath of the Wild. Ganondorf is back, and it's once again up to Link to stop him. The Hyrule you explore here is pretty similar to the one in Breath of the Wild. However, now there is more to discover with the added layers of the Sky Islands and the depths. Additionally, with the debut of the Fusion System and Ultra Hand ability, players are given a plethora of options when it comes to combat and exploration. Next up, we have Bloodborne. Come on, you know we had to put another FromSoftware title on here. Bloodborne takes some of the horrific and otherworldly aspects of Elden Ring and multiplies it by 10. It places the player in a dark Victorian-era inspired city, where they must fight against some of the most grotesque beasts imaginable. The environment isn't as vast as the lands between, but when you're not fighting for your life, it's easy to appreciate the beautiful architecture and aesthetic of the area. For those looking for a challenge, you'll be happy to know that Bloodborne is a gauntlet from start to finish. You'll come across a wide array of bosses who are just as tough as they are unsightly. And with the Old Hunters expansion, there's an abundant amount of content for you to sink your teeth into. Hopping off of the dark vibes of Bloodborne, we have a newer title, Lies of P. At first glance, FromSoftware's influence on this game is apparent, but what truly sets it apart is its use of a familiar IP that we've all at least heard of, Pinocchio. In this title, you play as the iconic puppet in the tragedy-stricken city of Krat. The puppets that once served the humans here have turned against them. Many humans died in the revolt, and the city is now in ruins, so it's up to Pinocchio to make things right. Featuring fast-paced combat and a decent selection of weapons, Lies of P is a ton of fun to play. Elden Ring still has it beat when it comes to customization and the vast open world, but what you get here is more than enough to keep any fan of the Souls-like genre entertained. Next on this list, we have Ghost of Tsushima. One of the many things that Elden Ring does an amazing job at is making the player feel like it's them against the world. As you travel through the lands between, you must face off against a multitude of enemies, with little to no assistance. Ghost of Tsushima matches that vibe to a T. This title puts you in the shoes of the last samurai, Jin Sakai, who must take on the Mongol forces to claim Japan's independence. As a lone wolf, or ghost, in this fight, you're given many options to take on the enemies you'll come across, whether it be through stealth or direct confrontation. And trust me, whichever path you decide to take, the combat in this game is some of the best you'll come across. As you progress, it only becomes more fun to find different ways to flex on whoever dares to cross you. On top of that, with a rich open world that is just as engaging as its story, you'll be in for a great time. And last on this list, we have a classic, The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. This title has become the gold standard for open world RPGs. It follows the story of the last living Dragonborn, whose duty it is to defeat the World Eater, Alduin. Now don't get me wrong, the story of Skyrim is great. However, Skyrim's full potential is revealed when you put the main story aside to focus on exploration. Even by today's standards, the world of Skyrim is huge and littered with lore that makes the place feel alive. Elden Ring and Dark Souls fans will find this familiar with how much story is told through items and other finds. Combat in this title is very different from Elden Ring since it's in the first person. But if you decide to play this on PC, there are mods that will bring the action closer to something like Dark Souls. In fact, there are mods for almost anything in Skyrim. It's one of the reasons why the game still has such a strong following. But those are the best titles for Elden Ring fans looking for something new to try. Thank you for stopping by Game Rant, and until next time, happy hunting.